Good morning, everyone. I'm Zhifeng Jiang from HKUST. Today, I'm very happy to talk about how to securely select the participants for Federated Learning in the presence of malicious server. So this is joint work with my colleagues from HKUST, University of Michigan, and Nokia Bell Labs. So as we all know, FL is a powerful technique that allows the data to be kept on-site. However, only keeping data on-site isn't sufficient. So as previous presenters mentioned, with the local mode update, the server can already reconstruct the training images used by participants in high fidelity. And so that is why we need segregation, where we will let the server still able to compute a global mode update, which is the sum of the local updates, but now we can't see each individual of the local updates. And this is still not enough because some sensitive information can still be leaked from the local, more global mode update. So we additionally need differential privacy, where we essentially add some random noise to the global mode update to make any possible footprint of user data there blurry and how to be exploited. So in practice, the DP noise is added in a collaborative manner, where for each round, each participant will add an even share of the noise to its local update, so that after segregation, the noise contained in the global update is essentially the target amount. So far so good. It seems that we have all the necessary components for private learning on the edge, but actually simply stacking them together may fail in privacy. So this is because the underlying assumption on which a segregation and differential privacy rely may not hold in FL. So as I mentioned, with segregation and differential privacy, ideally the server should see the global update perturbed by the target DP noise. However, in practice, there could be dishonest participants who choose not to add any noise to their local update. So this way, the server can actually see a less noisy global update, so where it can probe more information for the remaining participants. And even more alarming, if the proportion of dishonest participants continue to increase and exceeds a certain limit, secure aggregation will fail. And this way, the server can see even more things like a specific local update perturbed by nearly no noise of a client. So that means it is actually desirable for all the participants, or at least a significant proportion of them, to be honest. However, this may not be the case in FL. So as we all know, in FL, it is the server alone who decides which participants to join. So this normally is determined, it's done by random sampling, or may choosing the best performing clients based on some user metrics, like the user data quality or system speed. However, if the server is malicious, you can actually collude with those dishonest clients. You can select as many of them as possible to form a dishonest majority. And this will directly break the segregation and differential privacy, but there was no solution before. So that is why we have Lotto, the first ever secure participant selection framework for FL. So let's first see how Lotto deals with random selection. So suppose the current round index is 2. So what an honest server will do is first to compute a random function for each client, with the C being its public key and with the input being the current round index. So this essentially creates a random number specific to a client and specific to a round. So next, the server will determine which clients to select based on some predefined selection criteria. Again, a malicious server can obviously deviate from this process for growing a dishonest majority. So a natural defense for this process is to have clients in the loop. Given a client that is claimed to join, other participants should be able to verify whether its associated random number falls within the predefined range or not. So actually, the cost of doing so will not be too high, because this can be only taking place among those participants whose scale will not be too large, like tens to hundreds. And this already gives us a very nice property, that is, whoever a participant sees will not select it by manipulation, but only by chance that is determined by the predefined selection range. But actually, this is our high-level idea, but for it to be really practical, we need to tackle two key challenges. So first is, it's hard to know what happened to those clients who are not in the list. Were they just associated with illegal random numbers, as we expect, or did they actually get ignored by the server either before or after computing their random functions. Either way, the server can still circumvent to work around our mutual verification idea where it can still grow a dishonest majority. So to solve this problem, we essentially propose that on top of our previously mentioned mutual verification idea, each participant should additionally verify two things. So first, whether the participant list it sees is large enough, and second, whether the selection chance for each client indicated by the predefined selection range is more enough. So in order to see how this works, let me give you a concrete example. Suppose currently we require a minimum of 200 participants and also a selection chance no smaller than 0.1%. So in this case, with 99% probability, you can see that the proportion of dishonest participants will not be larger than a half, meaning that the rest of the participants should be selected from the honest clients. So that means the server cannot arbitrarily ignore those honest clients, unless it has controlled much more than 80,000 clients in the population, which we argue is impractical in most cases. So essentially, we have played a probabilistic game with the adversary. So that is essentially how we deal with the first challenge. As for the second challenge, currently the selection outcome is predictable for the server. So this is because the inputs for computing the random functions are all public. So this actually can enlarge the attack surface. So if the server can know a specific client will join in a round, then way before that round begins, the server can actually concentrate all its resources on compromising that client, just to turn it into a dishonest one. So this is essentially a side channel that the server can leverage, and which is much more efficient than compromising random clients for it. So to close these vulnerabilities, we essentially propose to use verifiable random functions, or VRF. So compared to a common random function, a VRF is essentially evaluated using someone's secret key, which is not intended to be disclosed to the public. But on the other hand, the evaluation process can still be verifiable because it will produce a proof with which someone holding the public key can verify the correctness of the generation of the random number. So this way, we will let each client self-sample itself using its secret key. So this process will be no longer predictable for the server, but still being verifiable for the participant, for other participants. So this is essentially how we deal with the second challenge. Actually, we have also dealt with some minor issues for making it really more practical. Next, I'm going to briefly talk about how we deal with the informed selection. So again, informed selection is where we will refer to some user metrics for selection, and malicious server can deviate from these desired behaviors. Here, the major challenge is, while we can have verifiable random function in cybersecurity, we essentially do not have verifiable client metrics for securing the informed selection process. This is because the server or the dishonest participants can actually easily produce or use fake metrics. So to make this process really secure, we argue that something verifiable has to be introduced, and that should be the verifiable randomness. So to that end, we propose to approximate each informed selection process with a random selection one. So this is the high-level idea. For more details, please refer to the paper. Now let's talk about the evaluation results. So first, for the security part. So we have already proven that if you use Lotto for participant selection, then with high probability, the fraction of dishonest clients in your selected participants will be very close to the base rate of them in the population. So that means if you originally have an honest majority in your population, then you use Lotto, then the fraction of dishonest participants will be still very small, which essentially means you still have an honest majority in your selected participants. So let me give you some concrete case. So if there are 200,000 clients in the population where 0.5% of them are dishonest, then if you use Lotto, if the target number of participants is 200, then with some simple algebra, you will see that a dishonest server can populate any fraction of the participants with dishonest one. However, with Lotto, the server will face an increasing difficulty in growing a dishonest cohort. For example, the success rate for it to have at least 10% of the participants being dishonest is very close to zero. Actually, Lotto security comes at nearly no performance cost. So to show this, we essentially conduct some FL experiments over different FL testbeds and over different population scale. And if you first take a look at the runtime performance, which is measured by the latency for each run, then you see that Lotto's overhead is no more than 10%. And even better, if you take a look at the communication metric, which is measured by the network footprint induced for each run, the overhead is even negligible. Finally, I also want to talk about that Lotto can function well as insecure selectors. So here we will focus on the informed selection part because it is the only place where we will have some approximation, as I mentioned. Here we choose all to be our baseline because it is the state-of-the-art informed selector, and its main goal is for optimizing the time to accuracy performance. So to assess the effectiveness of our approximation, we essentially compare their performance in terms of time to accuracy. And it turns out that their time to accuracy performance does match. So that means while we will have to introduce some approximation in securing the informed selection process, this approximation can still be highly effective. So to sum up, we have proposed Lotto, the first ever secure participant selection framework for FL. It can function well as insecure selectors while having unprecedented security and as well as minimal performance overhead. So the code has been released, and with that, thank you very much, and I would like to take any question that you might have.